Shalom. I want to start this off by giving honor, praise, and glory to Yahweh, by Shem Yahushai, Wahara Kakwadash. Peace and salutations to the elect men, starting with the elders of GMS on down, who diligently push forth the will and doctrine of Yahweh by Shem Yahushai, day by day, according to the true understanding of the scriptures. To you I say Shalom. So this lesson is going to be basically going into how this world's wisdom doesn't teach you to do it yourself, but the wisdom of the Most High does. Right? And it kind of goes along the lines of, like, how the saying goes, if you teach a man to fish, he shall be able to fish himself, right? However the saying goes specifically, but nonetheless, like, the point is, you want to teach somebody how to fish for themselves versus them, constantly always just going to you to be able to get the fish, and that's really what the Lord does, with the wisdom that he has, that he gives. He teaches you how to do it yourself, how to be able to fend for yourself, how to be able to do these things for yourself rather than just being a follower or only being able to go to I'd say one source, but really being the wrong source. The wrong source being Esau, Edom, right? And the system that he set up. Because how he set everything up is, in order for you to gain or receive anything, to have anything, you always got to go to him, And it's really like him trying to play God and be like God. But the way that he sets his system up, Esau, Edom, is in a way to where if you didn't know, if you had no knowledge, you would think there's no other way but through him. And that's just not true. The Lord doesn't esteem this world nor the wisdom of this world. He esteems it to be foolishness. And it's a system that ultimately doesn't work, that won't work, and that will be brought down, as we are slowly starting to see as the days go by and as that day draws nigh. So with that, I'm gonna just read some scriptures I have lined up, basically going into this point. And this really all came to mind through me reading this Wisdom of Solomon 7, with me coming across it, the Spirit just moved me. But nonetheless, hopping straight into it, this is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 7 and verse 7. We can read through 15. It says, "Wherefore I prayed, and understanding was given me. I called upon God, upon Yahweh Bashim Yahushai." It says, "And the spirit of wisdom came to me. I preferred her before scepters and thrones, and esteemed riches nothing in comparison of her. Neither compared I unto her any precious stones, because all gold in respect of her is as a little sand, and silver shall be counted as clay before her." You see, this is a true treasure, if you will. These are true riches, that you can only receive from Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, because they can't be corrupted. It says, verse 10, I loved her above health and beauty. Now, hers is the wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, right? But it says, and chose to have her instead of light. For the light that cometh from her never goeth out. And that's so beautiful, because it's so true. And the more that you have wisdom in your presence, and the more that you take heed to wisdom, the wisdom of the Lord, the more that you are able to see is always a light that helps guide. Further helps you to understand why Solomon asked the Lord for wisdom. Because it's through him having that wisdom and understanding that he was able to have everything else that he was given. Because he knew how to have it. He knew he had the know-how, the know of, the understanding behind it. Right? That's why he was the wisest man to ever live. But continuing here, it says, all good things together came to me with her, and innumerable riches in her hands. And I rejoiced in them all, because wisdom goes before them. And I knew not that she was the mother of them. You see? It says, I learned diligently and do communicate her liberally. I do not hide her riches. For she is a treasure unto men that never faileth, which they that use become the friends of God, being commended for the gifts that come from learning. You see? It says, God hath granted me to speak as I would, and to conceive as is meet for the things that are given me, because it is he that leadeth into wisdom and directeth the wise. You see? And all the things that the Lord establishes, that the Lord sets up, that the Lord builds, they're not going to fall. They'll never fall. They won't fail. Right? If it's of the Lord's will, and if it's of his righteousness. The things that he has set up to be established and to be fully founded, they shall never fall. To better say that. Because the Lord has also set up the wicked to be the wicked. But he has control and power over all those things. Which really leads me to my next scripture. This is Job chapter 12 and verse 16. It says, with him is strength and wisdom. It says, the deceived and the deceiver are his. He leadeth counselors away spoiled, and maketh the judges fools. You see? He looseth the bonds of the kings, and girdeth their loins with a girdle. He leadeth princes away spoiled, and overthroweth the mighty. You see? The Lord is in control of all these things. Let me see, because I want to say. There's a specific scripture I'm thinking of, but I'll have to find it later. But nonetheless, you're able to see that the Lord is in control of everything, including those that are set up to be the wicked. But it's all nonetheless for his will, for his power to be shown and his power to be glorified of, being able to see how he set up these things, right? And with us having that there, it allows us to see what truly is good and what truly is evil. Right? Having those examples. Right? Having the experiences that we've had, being able to see both good and evil. We're able to see which is which, and truly understand how the Lord's hand is at play. You know? How he's in control, how he's the director, you know? And we're just playing in his story, you know? But jumping back, I'm gonna go here. This is Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9 and verse 14. It says, "For the thoughts of mortal men are miserable, and our devices are but uncertain. For the corruptible body presseth down the soul, and the earthly tabernacle weighed down the mind that museth upon many things." It says, "And hardly do we get so right at things that are upon the earth. And with labor do we find the things that are before us, but the things that are in heaven who have searched out." You see? So this is another reason why you want to trust in the Lord's wisdom and not this world's wisdom, not man's wisdom, you know? Because the things of man are corruptible. How does it say? The heart is deceitful and desperately wicked. Who can know it? You know? That's why you don't want to trust in your own your understanding, but trust in the Most High's understanding. You know? His understanding, his wisdom, right, is always going to be founded. It's always going to stand. There's no corruption within it. But you can't say the same for man's wisdom, you know? And I'm going to get this. This is 1 Corinthians 3 and 18. It says, "Let no man deceive himself. If any man among you seemeth to be wise in this world, let him become a fool, that he may be wise." It says, "For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God." You see? "For it is written, he taketh the wise in their own craftiness. And again, the Lord knoweth the thoughts of the wise, that they are vain. Therefore, let no man glory in men, for all things are yours." You see? So, even here, you're able to see the Lord doesn't glorify in the wisdom of this world, but it's foolishness with him. You know, he understands those that set up to be wise in this world is all vain. It's all vanity. You know? So that's why you don't want to put all your eggs in this basket that's called, you know, the world. Esau's world, you know? This world that is run by those who the earth are being given into their hands, which is the wicked, you know? They not gonna give you life everlasting. They gonna give you treasures where moth and rust can corrupt. But with the Lord, it's the exact opposite. This is Baruch chapter 3. And I'm gonna start at I'm going to start at verse 6. It says, "For thou art the Lord our God, and thee, O Lord, will we praise." It says, "For this cause thou hast put thy fear in our hearts, to the intent that we should call upon thy name and praise thee in our captivity. For we have called to mind all the iniquity of our forefathers that sinned before thee." It says, "Behold, we are yet this day in our captivity, where thou hast scattered us, for a reproach and a curse, and to be subject to payments, according to all the iniquities of our fathers, which departed from the Lord our God." You see? So we're in the messed up positions that we in due to us trying to cleave to man rather than the Most High. We fell away the way that we did because we turned away from Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? The wisdom of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. And that's why we need to turn back and follow him, because it's through him and his wisdom, right? Having the wisdom that he created, having the wisdom that's of his spirit, are we able to operate throughout the world. That's how we can still be in the world but be kept from the evil. That's how we're able to have liberty but not use it as a cloak of maliciousness, you know? That's how we use the world but don't abuse the world. It's through his wisdom, right? Because it's always going to be a balance. But remembering this and keeping this in mind as far as where it is that we fail, you're able to be in the spirit, applying his wisdom to see what it is that you could be doing better, what you should be doing better, what you should be seeking to do better, right? Restructuring how it is that you operate, you know, for those that's new to this, and for those that's been in this, that knows of the Lord, you know, how can you be better? How can you put yourself in better standing with Yahweh Bashim Yahushai to where he can give you that spiritual righteous increase, right? Because you're not going to receive it through Esau, Edom, and his system, right? His wisdom. You're not going to receive it through that. Because he's set up to steal, kill, and destroy. You know? But Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, he's here to help set us up so that we're prepared, we're in good standing, and we're under his, you know, we're within his tower, we're under his feathers, you know, his wings, if you will, right? Under his protection, nonetheless. You know, for when the things that are to come, we're well equipped, we are well prepared, and we're ready to do what is needed of us, you know? So that's pretty much the point there. You know, low and this has been edifying. And with that, I'm going to say, Kahalam La, Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, Wahawa Kakwatash. Till next time, Shalom.